Hello, everybody, and welcome to Kate's Corner. Today we have Trevor Cox with us, the coach of the Uxbridge Bruins. How are you?
How you doing? How you doing? Sorry, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm very good. Thanks for asking.
Okay, so we'll get right into it. What is your coaching philosophy?
My coaching philosophy is, I guess it's just like any others. I want the best out of my kids. I call them my kids, but they're young adults now. But I want the best out of my players on the ice. But at the same time, I want them to have fun with it. I want them to make memories. And not only do I want to help develop hockey players, I want to develop young men with strong morals and strong character.
That's amazing. That's awesome. That's what we need.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
All right. What can your players expect from you as a coach?
As a coach, listen, I like to have fun as much as the next guy. Going to the rink has to be fun for me as well. Otherwise, why do you do it unless you're having fun, right? But my players can expect a very old school approach. All I ever really ask for is commitment, hard work, and play together as a team. Get along with your teammates. If you have differences off the ice, when you get to the rink and when you get on the ice with your teammates, those differences get set aside and play as a team. And just bring your best effort and be willing to learn and listen. I don't think it's too much to ask, really. But the best success I've always had, not only as a coach but as a player as well, are teams that just played as a cohesive unit and were together all the time, loved being together all the time, and just like I said, just had that camaraderie that is very tough to break at the end of the day.
I agree. I played volleyball, so you had to work as a team.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's like we always say, it's like clockwork. All the different gears move a clock, and some gears are bigger than others. Some gears are smaller than others, but they all are an integral part to a working system.
Yep, and you need every single piece.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. How do you manage playing time?
Playing time, of course. This being junior hockey, the playing time isn't always, in quotations, fair. But you know what? We're here to win hockey games. So typically, as far as playing time goes, whoever's listening, whoever's working the hardest, whoever's contributing. And when I say listening, I mean listening to our game plan and our game structure that we put in place from game to game. They typically get the most ice time because they're doing what we think is going to be best in order to win the game. But having said that, sometimes you just got to ride the guy who's got the hot hand. If you've got a player who maybe has, say, 8 goals in 5 games or something, you it's like, you got to ride that horse until it collapses almost. And yeah, that's typically the way our staff and myself we go about playing time.
Okay, I like that. How does it make you feel to know that you're representing your community?
That's a big one for me. The Uxbridge Bruins have been around since 1976. They're one of the longest serving junior teams in this area, let alone the province. And going from town to town and having, the Uxbridge name, the logo across our chest, or in my case, on my team jacket, I'm very protective of the town and of the logo. And it means a great deal to me, especially when you get up into some of the the northern towns like Apsley and Lakefield. Not that they're northern by any means,
But north of.
but they're north of us. They're north of Uxbridge, yeah. Or sometimes if you get into a deep playoff run, and let's say you're playing Mount Forest or Bell River or a town like that, they don't know anything about our town, so it's up to me. It's up to our coaching staff. It's up to our players to represent our town in the best way possible. And I take great pride in that, and I take it very seriously because Uxbridge is a great town, and I'd like other people to think that way.
I like that. I grew up there too, so I agree.
Yeah, there you go.
Um, how many of your athletes have gone on to play in college?
Um, guys that I've coached specifically in Uxbridge, there haven't been any go on to play college. We've had one or two guys move on to play pro over in Europe, which was a pretty good accomplishment, I think, for not only them, but a little bit of a feather in our cap as coaching staff, of course. But I've played with lots of players, and there's been lots of players over the last, 46 years or whatever it's been for the Uxbridge Bruins move on to pro, semi-pro, and play in United States colleges, or even play Canadian university hockey. So I mean, the list is long. Off the top of my head, Derek Linden, he started in Uxbridge. He was born and raised in Pickering, but he started in Uxbridge, and then he went to play junior in his hometown of Pickering. He ended up playing at a school in Manhattanville, which is down in New York State. Will Acton is another one who I played with, a Stouffville kid. He played games in the NHL. He played for the Edmonton Oilers. So I think he's the only Uxbridge Bruin to touch the ice in the NHL. But you know what? I played with Will when he was a young 16-year-old stud, and I was kind of an old, aged out, old windbag in the dressing room. But I like to think I helped him along in some way, shape, or form. And so I mean, a lot of junior C hockey kind of gets looked down on by some people, but like I said, the list is long. We have had players go to the NHL. We've had players go to major, junior, and college and university. So lots of opportunity out there if you play for the Uxbridge Bruins.
That's awesome. I love to hear that.
Yeah.
What message do you have for players who are representing your community?
Well, it's like I said earlier with that other question, just, play the game hard, play the game with class. That's one big thing that I'm big on with our players is play with class, win with class, and lose with class. Don't show things out of character that make our town look, and not only our town, but our organization, the Uxbridge Bruins organization as a whole. Don't make us look silly. Don't make us look non-professional. Don't make us look like a bunch of classless punks is more or less just, if there's a player on the other team hurt, it's over to the bench. It's keep quiet until that player gets up off the ice. And then, it's a stick tap for him getting back to his bench. Things like that. If you lose a game, you lose with pride. You skate off the ice with your heads up. You're not banging your sticks against the glass or the boards. You're not trashing dressing rooms, things like that. Win with class, lose with class, represent the organization and the town as classy as you know how.
I like that.
Yeah.
What is the most memorable game you were a part of?
Oh, I would have to say, are you asking as a coach or as a player?
However you want to answer.
I would have to say the most memorable game as a coach. In Uxbridge, with my coaching time in Uxbridge, I know there was a game in my first season that I coached with the Bruins. We were playing the Lakefield Chiefs, and I think we were down 4-1 with about 10 minutes to go in the third period. And we ended up and we came back and we won 5-4 in overtime. And it was a real tight checking game. And there's some pretty big implications for that game. I think if we won that game, I believe maybe we clinched first place or something like that, or it put us into first place or something like that. And we were battling with Lakefield at the time for that position. So that was a pretty big win. It was on home ice in Uxbridge. We had a really good crowd that night. And if I remember right, Robert Freckleton, who is an Uxbridge kid, he scored 2 of the 3 goals that got us, tied up. And it was just, I just remember when we tied the game and then we won in overtime, I remember the crowd kind of going wild. And that was pretty cool to see as a coach. As a player, again, the game was in Uxbridge. We were playing Game 7 for the All-Ontario Finals in Uxbridge, and we were playing the Essex 73s. And it had been a very long, season filled with adversity, to say the least, just the way things went. And to make it to the finals in Game 7 in our own arena, I mean, I think the arena legally, and I say legally, holds like 1,150 people.
Mhm.
And I think there was about 1,500 people jammed into the Uxbridge Arena. And sadly, we ended up losing 2-1 in overtime. Or, pardon me, not in overtime, in regulation. But I specifically remember we scored a goal early in the third period that they disallowed. But I just remember the absolute roar from the crowd when we scored that goal and they thought we tied it up. I still swear to God, the whole arena was shaking. Like I say, unfortunately, we lost. And we lost on home ice, which still stings to this day, 20 years later, literally. But one of the cool things was when we left the ice, Essex was having their celebration with the trophy and everything. But as we left the ice in Uxbridge, all the fans kind of stood up and cheered us out of the arena, gave us a bit of a standing ovation. And as a player, as an Uxbridge kid who grew up watching the Bruins and then was playing for the Bruins, that was a pretty cool moment, as bittersweet as it could be, for sure.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool. Just I can imagine that many people in the arena.
Yeah, it was pretty wild. It was I've yet to see anything like it back at the Uxbridge Arena.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, that'd be nice. How would you improve the program?
Ooh, I got to be careful here because I don't sit on the executive, but to improve the program, I would like to improve just some of our facilities within the arena. I'd like to see some improvements made to our dressing room. We do have our own dressing room, which we're the only team in Uxbridge that has that privilege. It is a privilege, believe me. I would like to see some improvements made to it. And you know what? Just to be honest, I would like to be able to I'd like to be able to sink some more money into the program. The Uxbridge Bruins are a publicly owned team, so essentially we're owned by our sponsors. It costs, north of $100,000 to run the Uxbridge Bruins every season. And when I say I'd like to be able to dump more money into the program, that would be spent towards recruiting players too. I know the Uxbridge Bruins are, they're a community team and so on and so forth, but you can't always put a team of just local players on the ice. You have to remain competitive as well. And that's a bit of a problem because, you can put local kids on the ice and you can maybe fill the arena because people want to come and see, hometown kids play. But if they're also losing every single game, the people aren't going to come very often. They're going to quit coming, right?
Yep.
I know other teams within our league, they're able to assist their players with tuition costs. Maybe they give them a little bit of gas money here and there. Billeting, they billet some players so they can attract out of town players. Teams that are close to a university or a college, and let's just use the Port Perry Mojacks as an example. They're relatively close to Durham College and UOIT. And I mean, we are too, of course, right? But, if there's a kid coming from, let's say, Waterloo to UOIT that it's a really good hockey player, let's just say, for example, the Port Perry Mojacks have enough money to, say, pick up half of this kid's tuition, but we don't have enough money to, put $50 worth of gas in the kid's vehicle. Where do you think that kid is going to go play hockey? He's going to go to Port Perry. And we still have a strong rivalry with Port Perry. So that's going to eat away at my insides, to be honest with you. But I would like more money available for recruiting players, just to improve our facility, and maybe even just to make our game day operations, our game presentation, the in-rink presentation of our games on Friday nights, just to spruce that up. And I'm not looking to reinvent the wheel here. Maybe a smoke machine or a laser show, something silly like that, but something to really attract the fans and get everybody in town into it, for sure.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah, for sure it would be.
When is your next game?
Our next home game is next Friday night. So what would that be? The 18th, I think, maybe something like that. I'm just looking at my calendar here.
It's the 18th.
Yeah, the 18th, Friday the 18th, 7:45 is our next game when we play the Lakefield Chiefs. Lakefield's been a long-time rival of Uxbridge too. We've had some good classic battles with them, so it promises to be a good game as well. And listen, for $10 admission, I've always said it is the best bang for your buck in town as far as entertainment goes. Is coming to watch your Uxbridge Bruins play hockey.
Yep. Yeah, that's a good price.
Yep.
Who do you look up to as a role model or athlete? Role model.
Wow. I mean, I've had lots of great coaches over the years that coached me playing hockey. One coach I tend to like to mimic, I guess you could say, is a coach I had in Uxbridge with the Bruins by the name of Brad Barton. He was a very old school coach. He was a no nonsense coach. He played the game at extremely high levels, but he made the game so much fun for us. I mean, every single player that played for him, I know I can speak for them when I say it, every guy that played for Brad, we would have ran through a brick wall head first for him. He just got the best out of all of us. He made the game fun for all of us. And he always had our backs, you know, whether we were having a bad game or maybe the refs were just out to get us or something. He always had our backs. He always supported his players and defended his players until the bitter end. So I always kind of, you know, like to use his tactics and things like that he did in game or practices or things like that. And I mean, as an athlete, I always kind of liked the way Joe Sakic played hockey. He was extremely talented. For a short time, he was probably the best hockey player in the world. But he was very calm, cool, and collected, very classy individual. And of course, he's gone on to be the general manager of the Colorado Avalanche now, who just won their third Stanley Cup in franchise history, whatever it was. But and he orchestrated that team. You know, he put the team together, and again, even as an executive, a front office staff member, he just carries himself in such a classy, cool, calm, and collected way. And I just kind of always kind of looked up to him, the way he played the game, the way he carries himself in the public eye. Always looked up to Joe Sakic.
Right on.
Yeah.
Why do you think it's important for kids to be involved in sports?
Oh, that's a big one. I mean, I was lucky enough to grow up on a farm, and I mean, there's countless perks as a child to growing up on a farm. But I think sports brings even more than that. You learn so much. You learn to trust others. You learn to also depend on others in situations to have your back and so on and so forth. You learn team chemistry. You make a million memories and you make a million friends. And that's one of the biggest things, I think, is the memories and the friends. I mean, when I get together with my buddies and, you know, we're sitting around a garage and we're drinking beers or whatever, you know, the way, and I know we don't need to get into it, but the way the world and society is now, when we all get together, all we ever talk about is our younger days and the things we did and the stupid things we did and saw and were part of or whatever, or, you know, that game down in Kincardine or wherever. We talk about the good old days, you know, like the Bruce Springsteen song, Glory Days sort of thing. But there's rarely an arena in Ontario, and my players get a laugh out of this. We'll walk into any arena within our league, and I know somebody in the arena. Either I played hockey with them, I played hockey against them, or my brother played with them, or my brother played against them. And I mean, that's another thing, you know, even having a brother that played hockey, I've made so many friends just through his hockey circle and vice versa, right? That it's, like I said, just the friends you make and the memories you make, I think, are the most important, because you can't put a price on that stuff. That stuff can't be, it all happens organically. It can't be manufactured, right?
Can't be replaced.
And yeah, and it's just, it's worth a lifetime, in my opinion. It's just the things they learn, the people they meet, and the memories they make. It's like I said, those things can't be bought, they can't be manufactured, and they last you an entire lifetime.
My son just started skating this year. He's not standing very well yet, but he's getting there. So, but it's
It'll
fun
come.
to watch
It'll come,
him
and
for them.
yeah, it'll come, and you guys will love it if he stays in hockey for years and years. Even you guys as parents, like some of my parents' best friends to this day are parents that they met through hockey, and that's really cool to see as well. Like, and listen, let's call a spade a spade. The parents make just as many friends through sports circles as the players do, so it's a win-win in my opinion.
Yeah, it's good for the whole community. You just get to know each other again.
Absolutely, yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, that is all of my questions. So thank you very much for coming. It was awesome to speak to you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. It was lots of fun.
Thank you for watching. If you would like to be featured, please feel free to reach out to me at listingsbykate@gmail.com or on social media at listingsbykate.